I was gonna say, I bet you know what pod number it is.
I do know what pod number it is. We are on number 8, which means,
Dang!
yeah, we've got 36 more until 44. At this rate, I would project 44 into like probably next year. I mean,
I mean,
definitely
we'd
next
really have
year.
to pick up the pace here.
Maybe even the year after, 2028. Who knows?
My
Time will
brain,
tell.
the Lindy brain cannot conceive of such years.
Yeah, I'm kind of stepping into the reality as well where like yeah, I don't know where I'll be in a month or 2 months, whatever. Like I kind of do in a literal sense, but in the more like metaphorical sense, like
Mm-hmm.
who will I be? You know?
Welcome.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. Time has ceased to exist as a linear construct ever since Bali.
Just that
Uh,
sentence out of any additional context is like, yeah,
so cliche.
so cliche. Oh my god.
Uh, Little do they know. Well, I do have a topic in mind to
Yes.
start with today. I don't think we've actually spoken about this yet.
Ever?
It's like it's like a current event, a piece
Okay.
of news that is relatively recent. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. So, I don't know the exact time frame, but it was relatively recent. Eli Lilly, which is like a huge pharmaceutical, like big dog, like the ones when we're like talking about big pharma and whatever, like
Right.
that's Eli Lilly.
Yeah.
They just acquired or are in the process of acquiring a Thai, a Thai Beckley, which is one of the forefront psychedelic companies that is public, um, for between 2.8 and 3.8 billion dollars.
So many
Sounds like a
dollars.
lot. Sounds like a lot of dollars. In the grand scheme of things, like for Eli Lilly, that is a drop in the water. Like they don't have to think twice about that. There's actually been people in the psychedelic space that are like, that is so low for like a Thai. Their lead candidate that Eli Lilly acquired them for and is interested in is a DMT nasal spray.
Mm.
Yeah, that is supposed to, as we know with DMT, be short in a literal time sense as a
Right.
linear
Earth
construct. It's
time,
like
human time.
15
Yeah.
minutes. So Eli Lilly's like, oh, this is great. We can get them in and out. Boom, done. They are not and will not be acknowledging this. Like in Eli Lilly's press release, they didn't call it a psychedelic. And that, in my opinion, says a lot. It says most of what we need to know, and they will not be, given they're not acknowledging it as a psychedelic, they will definitely not be acknowledging it as a psychedelic assisted therapy. Like they're not going to offer therapy. Period. End of story. They want it to be 15 minutes in out. I guess total probably an hour, because that's how you make money. You just churn them in, churn them out. I This is my like best attempt at remaining neutral on this and conveying just like the objective facts to you. It may seem counterintuitive. I have yet to give my actual opinion on this. I would love to hear yours.
What I will say first is that my dad actually emailed me about this, which I think is just
Mm.
so sweet. Because if you had told, like, 2021 me that my dad would someday be sending me emails being like, I don't totally know what this means, but I saw that this company bought the psychedelic thing. And he's like excited about it for me. I was like, oh, thanks. So that's actually where I heard the news first.
Mm.
And I, being me, just like didn't dive that deep into it because as I'm guessing you kind of know, like my opinion is basically like, I mean, it's bound to happen, right? Like major companies and big pharma is trying to get involved in this space for, I'm sure, a myriad of reasons. One of them just being because they now recognize that there is a lot of money to be made, but also because like when you can control the environment and you can control the substance, then you at least believe that maybe there is a way that you can control the outcome or the messaging or the experience or the whatever. Um, I think I live in two universes, right? Where at the end of the day, I'm like, it is objectively a good thing to me for psychedelic therapy to be more accessible to more people who need it and want it. And like we talked about last time, right? Like there is some need for there to be kind of standardization and safety and protocol and just, yeah, but I'm also it's interesting hearing myself even say all of this because like I haven't thought about like politics like labels in a really long time, but this thought just flashed through my brain where it's like it sounds like you're taking a pretty libertarian view on this, which is not a word I ever would have used in past versions of myself to like describe myself, but in this world I'm like like that's I don't it's so nuanced, right? It's just like yes, it shouldn't just be this free for all. And also, I don't trust Eli Lilly with these medicines. I don't know who I trust with these medicines, right? Um, but I think the second that we start patenting things and bottling them, and especially in a conveyor belt system, just going based off of what you have just said, if that is the truth of how they're looking at this, and just being like, come in, do this nasal spray, 15 minutes, meet God, and out the door. It's like, that's not
Well, they don't know
good.
God. They don't
Right.
know that they're meeting God, that the people they're serving are meeting God.
Right. And it's just like
Or maybe they do.
maybe um at the end of the like and again there's so much here because I'm like there needs to be stewardship and safety and love and containers for all of these medicines. And I also do believe that it's like you get what you need. And so if for some reason someone's experience is supposed to be a conveyor belt system where they go into some like a Walgreens in the back room and just get their COVID jab and then like a DMT nasal spray. And they're like, whoa, like I guess who like and there's a very it's like I trust all of it to go exactly as it's meant to. And also like if we can steer the means of how the process is going in a way that doesn't involve the most sterile and like big pharma-esque, because they just fucking ruin it. Like
Yeah.
they don't want to help anyone. That's how I feel. What do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, just to pick up where you left off, they truly don't want to help anyone to the point where, like, that, if they had a mission statement that was like their truest essence, like, it would probably encompass that because as soon as they cure someone,
They don't get money.
that's a lost customer. That's why our entire system, from the labeling, putting the people in these different boxes of depression,
Right.
PTSD, that becomes a label that that person lives with and identifies with. It's psychological. People want a label. They want to be able to say, oh, I have ADHD. That's why I can't do this. That's why this. That's why that. I'm depressed. Maybe that's true, but like the root of all of these things is oftentimes the same thing, and then we put it in these different boxes, and then these different substances, even the psychedelics are having to be proved a different psychedelic for a different disorder for a different population. And so it's all designed to keep you in the system in this loop of treatment, but it's never a cure, you know? Like we used to do not saying that this is the only route and that like we should drop pharma altogether. That's kind of the opposite of what I think. But like we used to do talk therapy to get to the root, and maybe we took that too far with like the Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. Maybe not. I don't know. But we used to get to the root of things. Like that was a true goal, was to understand what was actually wrong at the core, and then
Right.
address that. and live the way that we're capable of living. Like, it doesn't have to be that we exist in this state of anxiety, or we take an SSRI to numb us so we exist in this state of mediocrity. You
Right.
know, because right now it's kind of those are two of the paths, or you go become enlightened in a cave in Tibet somewhere, which, like, honestly is very much in the cards for me at some point. I haven't written that off. But
It'll pull you back. As someone who tried to do
yeah.
that, you'll come back.
Oh no, my I did not come to Earth this time around to sit in a cave in Tibet. I That is maybe a side quest for me, but
Yeah.
not the main
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
quest. Um but yeah, I think it is worrisome to me that the two exhibits, or I guess right now one exhibit of a psychedelic that is like commercially widely available across the entire country, psychedelic ketamine, Spravato specifically, is owned by Johnson and Johnson, which is like another big pharma dog, obviously, that, like, it's all shareholder value. Any public company, it kind of is that way. Some, I think, have a bit more of a, like, moral, ethical compass, but yeah, I mean, that's the one exhibit of it. And soon now this, like, nasal spray that introduces you to God, and you're just gonna be kind of left with that, you know? It terrifies me for the people who don't know what they're getting themselves into, who are accustomed to an SSRI, and they're like, "Oh, this is nice. Maybe the SSRI is not working. Like, let's give this a go." This is not an SSRI. This
Right.
is very different. You're going to meet God. And maybe your conception of God is different from the God you meet. And as a 65-year-old woman, that could rock your world. It
Right.
will. It
Right.
will. And how do you integrate that if society's like, oh, that's so weird that that happened to you? And then it's an adverse event. Oh, this lady met God. It wasn't the God she thought it would be. She's now
Right.
having suicidal ideation. You know, like,
Right. She's now
how
in
do we
full
help people
psychosis.
process
She's now
that? Yeah.
schizophrenic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I mean, there are infinite things that concern me about it, right? But at the end of the day, it's like in that loop of, like, these companies do not exist to actually help heal people. They exist to keep you just trapped enough, that you keep coming back. It's like, okay, so you're dealing with people's souls, consciousness. Like, it's, yes, the body is sacred, right? And, like, the body, I don't, and maybe it's not different at all. We're just more used to the body being something that is experimented on and with, because it has been for our entire existence on this planet. So I'm more used to that, right? But, like, the thought of companies that want people to be unwell allowing people access to these medicines with no guardrails whatsoever, right? And then when you think about, like, and I'm not saying that I believe what I'm about to say. I'm saying it's completely plausible, and it also could not be the case. But, like, if you think about larger nefarious operations, right? That it's like, if you're actually looking into ways that you can make a population more controllable, psychedelics are supposed to liberate the mind. Psychedelics are meant to help. They're meant for many things, but they help people free themselves from realizing that everything that they have been told is actually a cage and a trap, and they have, the freedom and power to live however they would like. And that the powers that be aren't real. But that's a threat to the order, right? And so using psychedelics by a company that wants to just control people and make more money, like, I don't know, like, because in that space and in the very delicate aftermath, in that integration period, right? It's like you said, right? If you're a 65-year-old woman who's never experienced anything outside of what you consider to be normal ever, and then you have this insanely profound experience, but you either don't have anyone to talk to about it, or everyone in your world thinks that you're crazy, or, you know, even worse, it's like you have, yeah, doctors and people in white lab coats that are telling you that you're crazy. Like, it creates more fear, it creates more people who are unwell, it creates more people who are actually mentally malleable, and oppressible, which is the opposite of what these medicines are meant to be giving to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too as you're speaking and like 65-year-old Karen comes down with a case of psychosis. Eli Lilly's got a drug for it, you know? Boom.
Exactly. Yeah.
She's kept in the system. And then
It's a
yeah, I
modern
mean,
lobotomy.
totally. And at the more nefarious level you mentioned with like mind control, like that was literally LSD they tested, the CIA tested as a mind control agent, literally for like warfare, and they tested it on people who didn't know they were being tested. One of whom, and this is like the greatest or one of the greatest cases of like be careful what you wish for. The CIA, one of the people it tested it on, I mean, loved it, was like, oh, this is unreal. Like, I need people
Yeah.
to experience this. Well, that was the Grateful Dead. He took the
Didn't know that.
LSD. Yeah, I forget who. I'm not super familiar with the Grateful Dead, but one of them was
I
one
only
of
know
the
Jerry
people,
Garcia. Yeah.
yeah, who was like the little lab rat that didn't know he was a lab rat. And then it, yeah, escaped the lab, and so that everyone's doing LSD, and then they're like, "Oh, fuck the war!" Like, boom, like he
Yeah.
wanted
Yeah.
a warfare agent, and now, yeah, it's cute how these molecules have a mind of their own.
Well, and that's the thing that I was kind of getting at before, right? Is that it's like the true core of my heart believes that the will of, like, the will of liberation
Yeah.
is so strong that no matter what happens, no matter what wars are waged against consciousness, against being humans, right? Like, that the truth will get out, that there will be people who end up having these experiences and being able to kind of break through and break free. I mean, you and I, in our own ways, are that. No, we weren't strapped to a lab table and forced to, you know, but like just being like, okay, so I have seen and I know, and it's going to take a long time to figure it all out, but I'm going to do what I can to help other people, right? Um, Yeah, but it's also just, you know, I do believe in the infinite pathways that there are for humanity and planet Earth. Like, there is, of the infinite ones, there is one that is the most peaceful and easy and smooth and loving, right? And like, I am always going to hope that that is the route that we take. But all of the roads will lead us where we're meant to be going eventually.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I just, I don't know. Like, I have I told you this? I've actually never taken ketamine or DMT, both either intentionally as like a substance. I did ketamine, I think, on accident once.
Happens to the best of us.
That's we were everyone I was
Classic
with. We were trying.
coke ketamine mix up.
No, I was
No.
offered a bunch of ketamine after doing a bunch of coke once, and was like, no. It was like 9 a.m. on a
Yeah.
Tuesday in New York City. There's like light coming through the windows, and with a bunch of friends, they're playing FIFA, and they're like, "Do you want to do Calvin Klein's?" And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna stick with the Calvins."
Mid
Um,
FIFA is crazy.
I walked home that morning just like, like people are like walking to work. It's like broad daylight, and I'm like, "What's going on?"
Uh,
Oh, oh, no, I actually, like, me and my friends on Australia Day 2016, we
mhm.
did, we were going to a Fatboy Slim concert on the beach,
Wow. Hmm.
and we thought we had a bunch of MDMA, Molly, whatever it was supposed to be. and we all,
Oh, I
take
remember
it. I
this.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. And we like all collectively get there, and it's like, this isn't what this is supposed to feel
Yeah.
like. And so the friends I was with basically were like, the who had taken ketamine were like, we think that that's what that was. I was like, okay, yeah. Why would anyone volunteer for that? Was my question.
Yeah.
Um, and I have done, obviously different psychedelics work with, like, they activate your own natural DMT, right? So like
Yeah.
that is stuff that I have experienced, but I've never felt called to either of them. Ketamine in particular, I think just because I'm like, I don't trust anything that's made in a lab personally, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's another interesting topic is like anything that will be made commercially available will have been made in a lab.
I on my After my second ayahuasca ceremony, which was like 10 days after my first one, right? So I had space-ish between them. Um, I remember just so distinctly feeling, obviously the journey is always going to be completely unique every single time, no matter what. But there was something about the medicine itself that felt different to me. And I remember speaking to someone the next day, who had been living at the center that I was at, and they told me that that batch had been made by someone else. They were like, because I was like, the first one was like, it was very like playful, light, energetic. And also, my intention for that ceremony was to reconnect with my inner child. So, like, there was an
Yeah.
element of that as well. But it was like, you can kind of tell the difference between what the medicine is and what is you and your experience. And the second night, it had been made by somebody at the center who I personally like didn't really care. Like, I got bad vibes from.
Hmm.
And it was just so clear to me that I'm like, as you're making this, of course,
Yeah.
your heart, your soul, your intention is being infused into the medicine. If your intention is love, liberation, peace, that matters. If you're making these medicines and your intention is control, harm, pain, like, or it's just sterile, like
Yeah.
that, all of that matters.
Yeah, it's interesting the like sterility of like, yes, these will be probably 90% of the manufacturing will be done by machines. And let's assume that those machines are sterile and neutral. I'm sure in a literal sense they're sterile. I don't think that
Right.
they're neutral. Um, I think that you would then have to trace back the energy of like who built the machines? Why'd they build them?
Mm-hmm.
Like what else are these machines touching? Um, and I'm sure that they're sterile, but energetically speaking, maybe not. And
Well,
so,
sorry to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
Like, where was the metal mined from that is,
Yeah. Yeah.
being like, it's
Who
like
mined it?
everything, literally. Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. Was this literally like slave labor in some country
Yeah.
that, where it's like, okay, you've killed hundreds of acres of rainforest to extract whatever these metals are that you needed to create, like, all of it matters.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less there's a lot less room for corruption when you've just got a mushroom that grew in a beautiful little forest, freely of the earth.
Yeah. I mean that there's a lot of a lot of limitations of science, and I think this is one of them where like in a head-to-head clinical trial, if you gave, you know, half the people psilocybin from a mushroom that was grown naturally on Earth and picked by loving, intentional hands, and then you gave them psilocybin that was manufactured from start to finish in a lab, would the clinical trial results capture the difference? And the answer is probably no, because we don't measure for the intangible, because it's harder. The qualitative measurements are harder and seen as less valuable. And even the like mystical experience scale, like it wouldn't capture the minutia, the nuance difference between the two. And so it's one of those things where it's like we need both routes. There's going to be the 65-year-old Karens who can't or won't or shouldn't go do ayahuasca in the jungle of Peru,
Right.
for sure. And that would probably prefer a more sterile experience and that they should have that.
Right.
But then there's going to be the people like you and I that want it all, And then
Right.
even within that, it can be done wrong. Like you said, like the
Yeah.
wrong hands can still touch it. And I'm sure that if you haven't already, like at some point you'll clock the meaning of the why and it'll all make sense. But like for me, I haven't done ayahuasca and I'm at a point now where it's like if and when I do, it will be in such a intentional way.
An intentional trip, if you will.
An intentional trip. Yes.
But
Precisely.
yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting few years on planet Earth. Um, it's been an interesting few years on planet Earth. I just like, I don't know, man. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people who are going to start entering into some different, very different eras of their own existence, right? Um, and I think just looking at the planet currently as it is, like I feel like there's such a deep desire and sentiment in so many people where it's just like they want things to get better and they're scared for how things are going. And I don't know how many people are still clung on to the notion of like going back to how things were. I think a lot of people have started to let go of the fact that it's like, no, we need newer things. um but people are still living in this world where it's like they don't truly want to confront all of the things that need to be confronted in order for, they're just like, well, if we just could have like a one new election, everything would be fine. Or if only we could, if we planted more trees, everything would be fine. And it's like, that's not the answer, but the discomfort of the moment is getting so great that it is starting to force people into realizing, yeah, like I things are going to get worse before they get better because people haven't actually reckoned with what they need to reckon with yet. And I believe that these medicines, these tools, the fact that all of this is becoming more and more accessible, more and more part of the conversation, right? It's like it's all kind of interwoven. Um, but as within, so without, and the collective journey through darkness to light, like it has to, like it has to be confronted. And part of that if there are negative outcomes from Eli Lilly DMT nasal spray, can you imagine the commercials? What this is gonna be like? Oh my god. Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. It's gonna be wild. But it's going to be really beautiful on the other side. And every piece of me really does believe that. But like, God, I have so much love in my heart for the pain of the journey that we are all on and going to continue embarking on.
Yeah. It's gonna force people in and then it's gonna force them out. And so I think the people that took COVID as an opportunity to go in
Mm-hmm.
have spent these past, 6 years on
Mm-hmm.
that inward journey so that we're prepared to go out, like go out into the world. We know our mission. That's what happens when you look in. You
Literally.
discover who you are, what you want, and what you have to do to bridge the gap. And so like we've spent the past 6 years getting our assignment and preparing internally to manifest it. And that's beautiful, and I'm so grateful. And I wouldn't change a thing for the world. It was fucking hard, but it was also really beautiful. There's a lot of people who didn't do that. Most
Right.
people didn't do that. But
Right.
at some point, you simply must. Or I mean, you don't have to. You could also just like go through life and not do that and then die, and like that's great for you if that's what you want. But like I think that the people with some semblance of awareness and desire and like that look around in this world and see not just the pain but like the beauty as well. Like we can we can experience heaven on earth. It doesn't look that way right now because it's like, yeah, darkest before the dawn. But I think for the people who have spent these past 6 years, like on the inward journey, we're now ready for the outward journey. There's a lot of people that are going to do that in a different order, and that's fine and that's beautiful. But it's also now on us, not as like a responsibility, but as like a true honor to help guide those people. Like we just, yeah, I feel you, you know, I was just in that for 6 years. I still am. I don't think you ever like exit it, but I now at least know from what inner work I did, the outer work that I want to do as well. And in a very literal sense, like going in has also forced me out of the life I thought I wanted. Like I thought up until very recently, like a couple years, even pretty deep into my spiritual journey, I was like, yeah, like I'll just work for another company and make the amount of money I thought I needed to make and have the wife and the house and the kids, and that'll be great and that'll be my life. And like something clicked a few years ago where it's like, no, like there's no amount of money in the world that can fill the hole, the void that would exist within me without a purpose. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I think finding that purpose is so crucial, and finding it has forced me out of the life I thought I wanted in many senses. And I'm still, as we know, in the victory lap, squarely in the liminal space of both lives. And God, the life ahead of me is so beautiful, and it's so close. Ah, it's almost here. And it's not fucking here. It's not in the US, that's for sure. We're going to
No.
Australia, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. It has it has been clear to me for a while now, right? Like everything that you just said, where it's like, okay, those of us who have been doing this work, and there are the ones who came before who then helped us
Mm-hmm.
do this, it's this like yeah, very real kind of chain of humans who have been helping usher in the next layer. Um, but it does feel like a message that was so clear to me and came through for me endlessly in these last 6 years, right? It was basically that it's like, I am on this journey, I'm on this mission to go back into the world and like be kind of a normal-ish human again so that I can then help other people that are still in that world, because so many people, at least the ones that I was kind of meeting, who were in these different, living differently and had explored consciousness and healed and all of that, like a lot of them were people who had just up and moved into, they'd moved to like Atitlan in Guatemala or Bali or wherever it is. And they were living, the very like every morning cacao and I sing and dance in the fields to the birds. And I'm like, that's really beautiful and really important, but I'm not that, right?
Yeah.
And Karen, the 65-year-old Karen, might think that that looks nice on like a Netflix show, but like she's not that,
Yeah.
you know? Um, yeah. And so just like this layer of people that are like, no, I'm pretty human. I wasn't for a while, but like I figured out how to do it again. And now I'm here to kind of, yeah, like as everyone else is being like, wait, what?
Yeah.
um, yeah, when you're talking about like the job thing, which I still like, I find it so endearing that there was ever a version of you that like actually believed that that was something that was acceptable for your life on this earth, and I'm so glad
Yeah.
that you have seen the light. But like, I don't know, like I've been thinking about capitalism and how companies and everything is structured. I'm always kind of thinking about it, and I've gone through layers and layers over the years of, seeing and understanding, but like it really is slavery, honestly. Like it's for the average person that is working for the average company, kind of anywhere on earth, it's like they are literally giving you the least amount of money that they believe they possibly can to keep you. It's kind of like the pharmaceutical companies, like just alive enough and just comfortable enough to keep coming back and making more and more money for the people at the top. But especially in a system like the US, like you can't, you're terrified to not be, you might be able to see all of the ways that it's broken, but you don't have a choice but to stay in it, right? And your
Yeah.
entire, like, as someone who so desperately needs to just be able to do what I want when I want and follow my own heart and intuition, right? Like, the thought of someone else telling me where I'm supposed to be when that someone up at the top made this decision so that they could save money and it impacts everything about you. Oh, you can't go on vacation that week. Like, I have a friend, he texted me the other day, half of his company was laid off in one morning. He
Yeah.
wasn't, but like he's now going through the grief of all, and and it's like survivor's guilt, and like it's just all this stuff. I'm like, cool, like all of those, it's horrible, it's heartbreaking, it's terrible, but it's also just like, if you are literally giving your entire existence as a being on this planet, in your life, over to this like overlord that's like, yeah, just do whatever I tell you, and I'll give you just enough so that you can maybe dream about buying a jet ski someday. You're never going to be able to, but and then when I don't feel like it anymore, I'm just going to take it all away. Don't care about your sick kid or your house or whatever it is. um it's insane, and people, I know more and more people are trusting it less, right? Like millennials really had the awakening of being like, I do not believe that my employer gives a fuck about me. That people realize now, but they're still beholden to the system, and it's still
Yeah.
this. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
I
rant.
mean it's essentially indentured servitude, with a bow around it and a lot of propaganda too. And the problem with capitalism, and I say this knowing that I don't have a better solution, I don't have some manifesto, if you will, that is outlining the
Right.
way that humanity should operate. I mean, I have ideas, but we'll circle back to those another
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah. Pod
Um,
9.
yeah, yeah, something like that. The problem with capitalism is, simply put, it expects infinite growth, exponential growth in perpetuity. And that's great. That's cool. That's super fun. However, we don't live on an infinite planet with infinite resources. So there comes a time, Garrett Hardin wrote about this in like the I want to say 60s, the tragedy of the commons. I wrote about this quite a bit in college, where yeah, there's just a finite amount of resources. And so it's not even it's not capitalism that's the problem. It's the fact that capitalism expects infinite growth and requires infinite resources, and we don't have
Right.
that. That like
Right.
I don't know anywhere that does. That we live in, yeah, a
Love.
world that's true. We can find a way to have our systems be based more in love, and something more, yeah, cyclical, circular than like linear. Capitalism's very linear, take, make, waste, and it's not sustainable. We know that. we have known that, and the sad thing is that it's not ignorance. Like the people at the top doing this know it. It's more so a like ungodly amount of selfishness that like there are enough resources in their lifetime for them to continue
Right.
extracting. And so
Right.
they're just going to do it, or they're just kicking the
Right.
can down the road, and they're like, that's for my kids and their kids to figure out. But like, how could you, is this not all for your kids? What's the point of all the money in the world? You can't take that with you when you die. So like, yeah, I want to make a ton of money and I want to hand that over to my children, but what's the point if the planet's on fire? You know?
Right. Right.
And so it's yeah, that's the thing is at the end of the day, like we have all of the technology we need. We know everything we need to know to save the planet. It's the people that are the problem, and they're also the solution. And that's kind of what led me away from like my initial passion for sustainability and engineering and like finding this technical solution to save the planet. There isn't one. There is and there isn't. Um, it won't matter if we have one until the people, especially the big dogs, have decided that we're going to use it, that we need it, and that we're going to use it. Um, and so, like, yeah, part of my hope is that through psychedelics, through whatever, like, if there's a better way than psychedelics, great. Um, but that we can start to like help heal people and the planet from the inside out, one person at a time.
Right. Right. And I think understanding the interconnectivity of everything is integral to all of that too, right? Realizing that literally nothing is separate. No one is separate. No living thing, no unliving thing on this planet is separate from anything else. Um, and so all of our individual actions do collectively matter. And I think it's so easy in the West to to realize, yes, that things are bad and problematic, but also, I'll still hear people kind of make the argument for capitalism that it's like, well, look at how many people it's lifted out of poverty. Like, my life is so much better now than it was 50 years ago, whatever it is. And it's like, okay, but yes, your life is better because it's more comfortable, you have more money, whatever it is. But they just outsourced that somewhere else on Earth. It doesn't actually mean that everyone on Earth is like living this like happy-go-lucky life. It just means that
Yeah,
now the shitty factory job that you didn't want, but at least there were labor unions, in the
yeah,
States once upon a time. Now that's just been outsourced somewhere in Asia, somewhere in Africa, where people are like, it it didn't go away. And I refuse to accept the idea that someone's like, well, at least those people have jobs. Like, eh,
yeah,
no, working 100 hours a week for no money, like it's again, it's slavery. And it's pillaging the earth, but it's just, yeah, it is that out of sight, out of mind. And it's like, no, it doesn't capitalism literally will do whatever it needs to just keep taking and taking and taking, and it will do that, yeah, until the entire world is dead. um
yeah. And on
but
that
and
note,
on that note, do more drugs.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you're right. It's all very extractive. I worry, as you know, and as you do as well, for the future of the US. All great empires have toppled within 500 years or less, and we just hit
Yeah.
our 250 mark, so at least halfway there, maybe more. Uh, and we'll see. Maybe we can do like a little cheeky rebrand. Time will tell. But I do see the global powers shifting towards the east. Um, and east I will be very soon.
Very soon. All right.
Shall we
I think
call her
so.
there?
Yeah.
Okay. Love you
Oh,
so
I
much,
love
Cindy.
you. Have a beautiful day.
You as well. Bye.
Next time. Bye.